where you would like to find your niche, your topic. Cool. I don't know if you have heard this before. Let me share with you how did I find my topic. Would you like to know how did I become a public speaking coach?
Yes.
Great, thank you. 2012, 7th of February, I did my first UPW preview for Tony on a short notice. I believe all of you here know Veronica Tan and Richard Tan.
Yeah.
So Richard was doing 2 sessions for Tony as a preview session, and I still remember it was Victoria. There's a hotel in Victoria next to the Victoria station. It is a basement kind of arrangement. You take the lift, like a round lift, and you go down. I was one of the staff members. I just joined the office on 2nd or 3rd of February. It was only 2 or 3 days I joined the office. The moment I joined, the next day we went to Glasgow to do previews. I think the weekend before that, before the weekend I spoke. So yeah, I think in the beginning of the month, we went to Glasgow to do 2 previews. We came back, and then there was a preview in London. Richard had a flight change. He had to be in Singapore, which was a bigger priority, and preview became a lower priority. How many of you understand, when a big seminar promoting company runs different events, if they have an event of 10,000, it becomes a top priority than looking at an event which has got 150 people. So yeah, it doesn't really matter that much to them. Worst case, they have to cancel it, they will, because Richard needs to be, at the NSC event with something he has to do, which only he can do. Normally it was maybe not in their plan, but when the things change and events, dynamics happen, so he had to go. And they called a few trainers, which is natural. They would know a lot of trainers. They probably called up 4 or 5 trainers to see if they are available in the city to do the preview for them. And obviously, everybody said, oh God, I wish you just told me yesterday or last week or whatever, I'm sorry, I'm in Spain, I'm in Italy, I can't come. So they were having a discussion that maybe you need to cancel this, second session and bring them to the next preview. And then there was a lady called Nikki, she said, this guy Amandeep who joined the office last week, he's passionate about speaking. And the only reason he's joined the company because he wants to learn the entire event industry, how it runs. And I have heard that he's done some sessions in the past. Before this I've done 2 sessions. The one in Chandigarh, where all my relatives was in the room, a youth program where I couldn't get a single registration. And the second event I did, with another trainer friend in Normanton, Hammersmith. There were 3 trainers there. So, we were doing like 2-3 hour slot for each other, and we had like 28 people come, and 25 were our fellow learners. You guys understand fellow learners?
Yeah.
They came to support us. So the real audience was 3 or 4 people. So yeah, they said, would you like to step up and run this session for us? Because I was wearing a black t-shirt and I was a crew staff member. And because of my training with my mentor, the first word came out of my mouth was, of course, yes. And they felt, that he is strong, he's confident, he can do this. And after saying yes, what I felt, I can only tell myself. Something started happening behind me, very strongly. So my heartbeat went up, because I was locked up. And then they gave me training, in that short time, because there's a gap of 2 hours from one session to the other. Okay, so he gave me his slides and he said, speak about Ofra, speak about this thing and that thing, and it was not my flow. So when I started, he introduced me, God bless him, he introduced me, and he introduced me as Amardeep. He's got a Singaporean accent. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our speaker, Amardeep. So I came up and then he left, okay? He went to Heathrow. And my 3 hours preview ended in 1 hour 40 minutes. The first 15-20 minutes, I felt so thirsty because I couldn't channelize my energy. I wanted water and it was not there. I told the staff member to bring it. Rana brought it, who is one of my colleagues, I know him. He kept it there, and when I reached out for the water, yeah, it spilled over. And people in the front, I could literally see in their eyes going like, it looks like you are shaky and it is possible that you might fall. But if you fall, give me some notice so that I can, boom, dodge, right? Because they could see me, shaking and my legs were shaking. They could make it out. Some people left, by the way. They said, what the hell is going on? Like 4 or 5 people left. We had 120-ish people at the end when I made the offer, when he got 11, 12 sales. Because I've done a lot of selling in my call center, so something kicked in me. And after 20 minutes, I left his flow, by the way. I couldn't catch up with Richard's flow and his slides. I did my content. How many of you understand? Because I've done some practice with my mentor, in his training room. So I knew my content, which is not very different to what he was teaching. It was mindset, but in my style, in my stories, my ways. So after 20 minutes, when I left the slide, I felt very relieved. Otherwise, I was struggling, to be somebody, to be like Richard. And it went on, very well for 1 hour, 20 minutes. We made some sales, and then I started getting, those sessions where nobody else would take it. Now, every time I did a preview after that day, I would have people come up to me and say, I'm going for Tony, I'm not going for Tony, whatever the answer was. And very few people, 3, 4, 5, maybe sometimes 6 people, sometimes maybe just 2, would say, you are great on stage, you are very inspiring. So can you teach me to do what you did on stage? For the first 2 years or so, I couldn't even see myself doing that. For me to speak English was the biggest thing of my life, which I achieved, let's say, by late 20s, okay? By being in call center, improving my accent. Then to take that communication and then speak in front of audience where that language originated from was a big achievement of my life, okay? Which I did it till, let's say, my late 30s or mid 30s. Now somebody's saying, you know what, you take that language and not only just you go and inspire people, but you teach people how that they can inspire others. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So it was such a big goal that I couldn't even see myself fitting into that role. But after 2 years of people asking this, there's a little belief system started happening somewhere. That if they're asking, you know what, I should put something together. Then in 2015, I went to India. And because of my conflict of interest of contract with Tony, I did not do any events here in UK. So I did my first event in 2015 in India. It went pretty okay. And I just did it for fun. And I wasn't looking for any business. Because I went for a trip to see family, I did the event. And then I met this guy, his name is Gaurav. And he kind of started following me and chasing me up, in a nice way, but it became a bit irritating, sometimes. Every few days, he will message me on Facebook or wherever he could find me, like LinkedIn. Oh, when are you doing this, Train the Trainer program? I want to learn from you. So I said, I'm not ready. I'm just putting the content together. So it took me another 2.5 years to decode and put some pieces together. By the time he was gone with somebody else, how many of you understand? Yeah, because you couldn't wait that long, because he was so eager to be on stage. He did some training with other companies. And then in 2017, I put a small batch, with doing no marketing. This mindset training I was doing in India, I plugged out 6 people from a batch of 22 or whatever, 23. 6 people volunteered to come, and obviously they invested like 400 pounds. And we did a 3 days Train the Trainer program. It was named Train the Trainer. I did not know how to name it. So I did not put much efforts to brand it.